Peace out. Well, good Friday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football guy. Don't forget to hit the like button or the dislike button. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment, whether you like me or hate me or whatever. Just leave a comment and stuff. I feel good this morning. I feel so good. I slept in my bed last night. I got a good night's sleep, although I did have some cramps. You know, I got to remember to go ahead and drink more water, eat more bananas, and stretch out and stuff, because them cramps ain't no joke in the middle of the night. It's kind of like somebody just shot you in the leg. Ah! It just ain't nothing you can do about it, except try and stretch that sucker out. So here we are. Here we are, Friday. And I got a couple of things on my mind here. One, I think the Dallas Cowboys, they need to hit somebody else. The Cowboys, I feel so good about the team. I feel like for once that this team is getting itself together. Because here's the thing that I love about the Cowboys right now. They have a bunker mentality where they are F everybody, including some of their own players. They have gotten so much hate, so much discredit and stuff like that, that I think that we're not going to see the arrogance. Because here's what happens with the Cowboys a lot of times. A lot of times the Cowboys have been pumped up like crazy. And then they start to believe the hype. And I'm not going to say anything about Jalen Smith or anything like that, but Jalen Smith always felt like, you know, he was Hollywood. Like we just got to show up and, you know, we them boys and you're going to win. But the reality is this is like Hunger Games. You can't just show up. Everybody's gunning for you. Everybody wants to take your head off. It is freaking war. As much as they try and make this seem like it's golf, you know, a gentleman's sports, this shit is raw. That's how you win. And I feel like with Micah Parsons as that lead dog, that LT Light, that future, hopefully Hall of Famer if his career lasts long enough, because there's no guarantees on any of that. That defense that is getting deep. I just remember seeing him last week. That second string guy is going against Trevor Lawrence, who some people say is a better quarterback than my guy, who threw an interception to start the game against backups. A guy who threw four interceptions in his first playoff game that some people over there swear is better than my quarterback, Dak Prescott. And I'm not talking about Giant fans over there. He's just sitting there with a smug look. He knew he said an ass comment about my Dallas Cowboys. But here's the thing that's kind of, you know, this is what's funny. Because I keep hearing people talking about Dak Prescott's under more pressure than anybody else out there. You know what's kind of cray-cray? How is it that when Dak got paid, you know, it was all of a sudden you can't pay a quarterback. Can't pay a quarterback. Now, everybody get paid. Nobody says blinks an eye. But how is it that the Cleveland Doo-Doo Browns paid $230 million guaranteed for a guy who got suspended for half the season, who came in playing ass, literally ass last year? And they said, oh, well, you know, he only played half the season because he was off the field for, you know, off the field issues. My quarterback comes back from a broken thumb with the plate and screws put in his hand, leads his team to the playoffs. Playoffs?
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah, Jim. We're talking about playoffs. Leads his team to playoffs. Beats Tom Brady. Throws 4 TDs, not 4 interceptions like Trevor Lawrence. Not 4 interceptions, 4 TDs. And loses to a team that's pretty good. And I know you lost to Brock Purdy. It wasn't Brock Purdy. It was Deebo Samuels. It was George Kittle. It was Christian McCaffrey. It was a future Hall of Fame offensive tackle in Trent Williams. It was an incredible defense. It was a great football mind, beautiful mind. It wasn't just Brock Purdy. And by the way, Brock Purdy had what, 11 game straight victories? He wasn't the only team that the Cowboys, that he was the only team that he beat was the Cowboys. They beat a lot of mother humpers. But be that as it may, how is it Deshaun Watson throws incompletion after incompletion after incompletion in practice against the Eagles? Nobody bats an eye. He gets out on the field and looks like ass, and nobody says shit. Nobody says that Deshaun Watson is on the hot seat. How is it a guy who's got $230 million fully guaranteed isn't on the hot seat? Is it because they can't let him go? See, this is the bullshit that you get from the talking heads out there. We've heard all off season how the Eagles are the greatest team ever created. And if they don't have the piece, they'll go out because Howie will go out and just get whatever he needs. And I was sitting here looking at my team last week playing, and we got a chance tomorrow night. We're actually going to watch the Giant game tonight. Tonight, program note, we're going to start live streaming at 7 o'clock. We're going to watch the Giant game, and we'll see if Rashid wants to be part of the stream, watching his team and giving us commentary, because I can't honestly say I know much about the Giants other than that Daniel Jones sucks. That's all I really know. Daniel Jones, who he says is better than Dak Prescott, who has never actually tasted victory over the Dallas Cowboys. I don't understand that shit, but hey, you can tell I'm feeling good. You can tell I'm feeling good because I ain't been here. And I'm sitting here for the first time in it seems like forever, and I noticed down here at the clock, 20 days, guys, 10 hours, 44 minutes, and 10 seconds away from kickoff of the 2020 season. And like I said, my Cowboys, they need the game. They need to beat up on somebody else, man. They are a bunch of, they sounded like Leroy up here. They're just barking like crazy. Just barking like crazy. But I watched last night. I missed the beginning of it. I was actually going to live stream. We actually already saw a Philly 500 meltdown. He's already ready to get rid of Marcus Mariota. You better pray that Jalen Hurts doesn't get hurt because you will be hurting. You see what I did there, right? Okay. Because Marcus Mariota, unlike when he played against the Cowboys, when the team scored 37 points, he looked like ass. And here's the thing. I said last year ended up being almost the perfect season for the Eagles. It just didn't end up in a victory. You know, there was that fumble that Jalen, I know that nobody's blaming Jalen Hurts with the fumble and stuff. Not like they blamed Tony Romo with the interception against the Denver Broncos where we lost 51-49. Nobody's blaming Hurts for the fumble. They're blaming the defense because they couldn't stop anybody. But be that as it may, they got some dogs. Jalen Carter and everything else, he looked like the real deal. They've got some great potential, although their linebackers suck. They have the curse of being a Super Bowl loser that usually they take steps back. Super Bowl losers usually take steps back. NFC East winners. Do you know that there has not been a single NFC East winner in the last 20 years that's actually won more games than they did the year before? In fact, there has only been none. I'm sorry, not 20 years. It's 19 years. None have repeated. Now, the Eagles lost both coordinators. They're relying on unproven guys on the defense that are young. 6 new starters on the defense alone. Last year, like I said, it was almost a perfect season where health wasn't an issue. I'm not applauding health. Don't get, because that's how some of y'all will take this. Not applauding health. I mean, that people getting injured. They got 6 players injured last night. I know most of these guys are backups and things like that. I get that. But see, here's the thing. Their backups looked like ass last night. And if there's anything that you can say we have learned as Dallas Cowboys is backups are important. By the time we make it to playoffs, we are just literally scraping the bottom of the barrel. Now, the Eagles were fortunate that when they lost people, they'd go out and get Anamik Sue and different players and things to fill in holes and plug holes. They may have to do that again this year. But health might be an issue. But here's where I'm actually feel vindicated a little bit, because it feels like the worm is turning on ESPN with the love for the Eagles. Maybe they finally see the writing on the wall that they've written all these checks about how good the Eagles are, how they are literally going to the Super Bowl and going to win by 50 points, that they're the greatest thing ever in the history of football. And so now they're kind of saying, you know, we're going to look like idiots if they fail. Maybe we need to kind of bring it back a little bit. Let's listen in this morning to ESPN, because now they're kind of saying, it's hard to repeat in the NFC East. Maybe injuries could be a factor. Not worried about Jalen Hurts. They got a lot of young guys that are unproven. But, of course, we have the village idiot in Bart Scott, who would take Teddy Bridgewater over Dak Prescott. And he'd also take Jameis Winston over Dak Prescott, because Jameis Winston ain't never had any people around him. So let's listen in to ESPN, who will be getting, it looks like, Shannon Sharpe to join First Take.
Talk about these teams and where they sit. And so there's been so much talk about Jalen Hurts. Look, a year ago at this time, we wondered if he was going to solidify himself as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now we wonder, can he become as good as any player in the entire sport? Do you believe, Barnwell, he is set up for an even bigger season, he and his team, than they had a year ago?
I do not. And I think the concern is not Jalen Hurts, but what's around Jalen Hurts. Last year, they were very healthy around Jalen Hurts. Their 5 offensive linemen, their 5 starters missed a total of 3 starts. The wide receivers were healthy all year. The running backs were healthy all year. Dallas Goedert missed 5 games, but that's 8 starts missed around Jalen Hurts. It's going to make any quarterback better. Tough to count on him having as much health around him in 2023.
Not to mention the fact that the offensive coordinator is gone, as is the defensive coordinator. What are you thinking here, Kmart?
Well, Greeny, you know I always agree with Bill when I'm on the show. No, I think it's hard to say whether Jalen can top last year, because it was such, you don't want to use the word magical, right? Had he not gotten hurt, you wonder if he's the MVP. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He's literally answered every single question that anyone has ever asked. The only question that remains is, can he do it again? It's hard to discount and doubt Jalen Hurts. But when you look at this team, they have lost key pieces defensively. Javon Hargrave, he's now in San Francisco. I don't think the coordinators are as big of a deal. But I think the roster, the pieces that they've lost, and it's just hard statistically. That's what's working against the Eagles. Statistically, it is very hard to repeat as MVP. It's very hard to repeat as a team making a Super Bowl game.
And it's very hard to repeat in that division as the champ. Cindy, put the numbers up there. Caesars Sportsbook says Philly is the odds-on favorite to win the NFC East, but it is worth pointing out that no team has repeated as the champion of this division since Andy Reid and the Eagles did it 4 straight years. That's 2 decades ago. Bart, will they be the team to buck this trend?
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I mean, you talk about a team. Yes, they
Village Idiot time.
Got this guy at a steal named Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. Like you talk about, Howie Roseman has been teaching a master's class for the last 3 years about how to acquire talent, how to get steals within the draft, how to move up and down the board and get extra first-round draft picks. Like, is Jalen Hurts set up to be successful and take it to the next level, because he goes in as the unquestioned leader. He's already shown and proven that he can play at a high level. We know that Howie Roseman, whatever they lose, he will go out and acquire, because he's just that good and that clever. So I have no doubts that Jalen, Hurts will have an even better season. Now, can they stop the run? Can Jalen Carter be that piece that replaces, an aging Fletcher Cox? They have the backup to the backups and the pieces in place for the future to be underneath the salary cap because they have young talent. So I believe that they're going to take it to the next level, but now can they close the deal and win a chip? That's a whole nother conversation.
Barnwell, the Cowboys and the Eagles, perhaps in the reverse order, figure to be the teams to beat in that division. How significant do you think the gap is between them, Eagles, Cowboys?
I think there's a little gap between the Cowboys and the Eagles, but I think you had it the right way. I'd flip it. I'd put the Cowboys ahead of the Eagles.
You're killing me, Keith.
I'm sorry.
Who are you taking, Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott? Who you have more confidence in?
I can't believe I'm talking to a linebacker, and you're like picking quarterbacks. There's 52 other players on those football teams.
Who's the most important, Dak or Hurts?
No question.
Make a choice.
No question. Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott.
But you're telling me the rest of the roster is better in Dallas?
I believe the rest of the roster is better in Dallas.
In Dallas? At what point? Let's go receiver for receiver. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Come on.
Of course A.J. Brown
You
is
taking
better.
Cooks?
But you're telling me that the Eagles have a pass rusher who's better than Micah Parsons?
Okay, tight end.
Tight end?
They led the league in sacks, Bill.
Sure.
They did before with Hargrave. I love it. There's oh my goodness.
Eagles lost both their starting linebackers, their best pass rusher on the interior, both starting safeties, both coordinators.
But guess what? They had a young. Listen, this is going to be like N'Kobe Dean's at Georgia practice. He's been telling those dudes what to do for the last 3 years. You don't think he knows how to play off Jalen Carter?
I hope
he knows
so.
that he don't know the playbook. Sometimes he's gonna go the wrong way. How to compensate for it?
I hope so. I hope so because he has to, right?
So where are the Dallas Cowboys better? They don't have a better offensive line, even though they have Zach Martin. They don't have better corners. They don't have better receivers. They don't have a better quarterback. So I don't understand your point, Bill. And I wanted to agree with you because we dress alike.
They're better at safety. They're better at
That's
linebacker.
one position.
They have a better
linebacker. They got a quarterback and Vander issue. Neck came. We don't know if his neck gonna fall off.
Okay.
I feel like
He's good though. I'd rather a linebacker who's good and whose neck might fall off than a linebacker who's we don't know if he's any good at the NFL level. Every team passed on the Kobe team. I like him. I hope
you still haven't told me where the Dallas Cowboys are better.
I did.
Tight end. They lost their tight end.
Their
guard is better
no
than
question.
I feel like our little doo-wop group is really in trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Harmony's working up.
This is why it's so hard to keep a band together for a long time. You get discord going on in there, and then all of a sudden the lead singer says, we need to make a change here. So there are a lot of questions there.
There are a lot of questions with the Eagles now.
You want to talk about a debate. We got into it yesterday on Deshaun Watson. He didn't play last night in the preseason game. It's up in the air whether he'll play in their final tune-up, which means we may not see him at all until the games start to matter. And the question is, will he be the Deshaun Watson who struggled a year ago or the one who was so brilliant in 2020? We talked about that yesterday.
We'll have more on Deshaun Watson here, but we're beginning to see the beginning of some doubts for the Eagles. Something I've been saying for quite a while. But hey, what do I know? I'm a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll. And it feels good to be back here. I hope you guys tune in tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, where we will be watching the New York Stinking Giants. Who are the Giants taking on? Look, we got a Giant fan. Huh? The Panthers. Okay, so we'll be taking on the Panthers, and we will definitely be watching. So I will see you guys there soon, and it's so good to be back. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about this?
Yeah.